In the history of video games, many companies have released handheld gaming devices. Nintendo, Sega, Sony.
Tiger Electronics.
We don't mention those. But we will decide coming up which handheld rises above the rest to be the greatest handheld system of all time.
And why it's Tiger Electronics.
It's time for show and tell, baby. Let's cue that music.
It's time for the show. What show, you ask?
Show and tell.
Hello there, Guildies. This is the Adventurers Guild. I'm Steve.
Still Jesse.
And you have tuned into just the loveliest of lovely episodes of Show and Tell.
Dare I say a portable episode?
Haha, you darest. Wait, what? I don't know what I'm saying. But
I guess if they're watching us on the phone, it's technically portable.
this is true. So, as you heard in the introductory bumper, we are deciding what is the greatest handheld of all time. And it is not limited to just Nintendo products. Oh,
right.
no, baby.
Ooh.
Sega had some cool handhelds. Sony had some cool handhelds. Nintendo had some super awesome handhelds.
Tiger Electronics.
Tiger Electronics, but the list goes on and on.
I'm so glad you mentioned Sega, because the Game Gear was a great electronic.
Indeed, indeed. So, before we kick things off, let's just do a couple quick announcements. Actually, really just two quick announcements. The most important, if you guys have not registered for our completely free focused discussion forum, guildhallforum.com, you should totally do that. We have a poll up right now. The question for the month of May is, what Nintendo franchise is the most important to you, the most near and dear to you?
What changed and touched your heart?
So go to the forums, get registered, click that radio button for your vote, and give it a reason why in the forum thread, and you will be entered for a chance to win a $5 Nintendo eShop gift card.
You're okay, getting choked up. Just thinking about your favorite franchise.
So just hits me right in the feels. And the other thing, the quick note, we have a Patreon, so be sure to check that out. There's a link in the description. We have 2 tiers, $3 and $5, with some pretty cool rewards.
Extra videos, fun things of me and Steve messing up constantly.
All of the support is super appreciative, so thank you very much. So let's now get down to business, my friend.
Brass tacks,
I've got my
they
little
say.
notes right here because I don't want to forget some key points.
I got my notes right here.
Boom, boom, really take it home. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to dodge, jab, jab, hook. You'll be unconscious and like so fast, man.
I just watched Hook the other day.
All right.
And you're going to lose just like you did.
Well, as they say, hook, show us the hook. How about we console, show each other the pics? Boy, that sounded so much better in my head.
I know, that sounds terrible.
Should we just start over? All right, I have a real-life prop this time, and by prop, I mean the actual console.
I know, I have 2
Oh,
in
I
front
think
of
I just
me.
showed it to the camera by accident.
I didn't see it.
All right, you got. Oh, you have 2 in front of you.
I
so
have 2 in front of me.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. The best console ever of all
Portable.
time is portable is bam. The original Game Boy, and by extension the Game Boy Color.
Ah, PSP Vita. Or PS Vita, excuse me.
The Vita?
Boom!
The Vita?
Thought I was gonna go for the 3DS.
The Vita?
But I went for
The Vita?
the Vita.
I was gonna keep going higher and higher octaves as we go.
The Vita!
Well, okay, this is already over. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Game Boy Color, or Game Boy wins. So mine's a little bit of a cop-out because it's so hard to say the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color are different. So when I give my sales pitch, it's going to be Game Boy oriented, but the color is so similar. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but just know it's a cop-out.
I'm gonna do the same thing for the PSP and the PS Vita, just because same deal. They were such similar. The games are the same. You can play almost every single PSP game on a Vita. So a lot of my answers will be because I love the PSP as well.
All right, so who's going first? Should the winner go first, or should the one who's obviously going to lose go first?
Well, you know, we're more of a Nintendo channel, so I will go first with my actual Sony product for once.
Okay, so here's the idea. You go first, and while you're doing that, I'll dig your grave.
So rude. So rude. All right, so in front of me, I have these are actually mine. My new 3DS and my PS Vita. Steve will tell you, I do usually come around with one of these because I do take both of them. And it was so hard to pick between them because I love both systems so much. They both mean so much to me.
Well, the 3DS is just phenomenal. I mean, look at the game library on that thing.
It is a great system. But then it came down to something me and you always talk about. How much fun we actually have with the system. And that's where it is. And then it came down to why I love my Vita so much. So for those who don't know, this is the PS Vita. Sony gave up on it last year. Sorry, getting a little emotional.
Put your lighters up. Oh wait a minute, this is the 2020s. Hold your cell phone screens up. Yeah, nobody has lighters anymore.
This was released in 2011 alongside with the 3DS. I don't feel like Sony ever gave it an actual chance, but it was their PlayStation Portable pretty much. It came out alongside of the 3DS that came out in 2011 too. Both systems I really love, so it was really hard to pick. So I might mention my 3DS a couple times.
Please continue.
Yes.
Rub salt in your own wound.
Yeah, right in my own wound. Basically, this was a portable version of PlayStation. It ran up to almost PS3 graphics. The gameplay, there was a bunch of different games released on there that would, I would say, almost rival the actual counterpart for our console version. There was games like Uncharted, Golden Abyss on this that you would think ran on a PS3, Killzone, Mercenaries, Resistance. There was just so many actual amazing games. But the thing I really love about the Vita is something that Sony's kind of gotten away from, was their support for their back catalog. And it's one of the things we love about Nintendo is on my 3DS, I can get Nintendo games, I can get Super Nintendo games, I can do this. You really never got that with a PlayStation Portable until the Vita came out. You can do PlayStation 1 games on here. You can download. You can do PSP games. You can do PS Vita games. A whole library of games. And the marketplace is still open for it because I go digital and everything. Even though they gave up on the system last year, I still buy games on this. And that's one of the things I loved about the system. But the reason I think it gives the edge over the 3DS, which to me is the other best, it's way better than a Game Boy, a 3DS.
Ooh, you're so in for it.
The reason I gave it to the Vita is because one simple thing that they put in, which I wish Nintendo would do, is second screen support, which is amazing. I can be playing a PS4 game.
1, 2.
And like if Steve could ever listen to me, I could be playing a game on my PS4.
Yeah, that's 2 screens, right?
I could be playing a game on my PS4, and if I need to turn the TV off or step away from my PS4, I can put the game I'm currently playing right on the Vita, and it still runs beautifully. It just needs to be connected to the internet. It's amazing. Granted, the Switch does that now.
Game Boy Advance GameCube link cable.
I don't need a link cable.
You could do the same thing!
Link cable. So one of the beauty things about this is sometimes me and my wife like to go to bed around the same time.
You have to be connected to the internet.
But I'm not done playing.
What if you're out in the woods taking a poop and there's no internet connectivity?
Have a hotspot. Get out of my face. It's 2020.
This is going off the rails.
So sometimes me and my wife like to go to bed at the same time, and I like to be able to bring my Vita in the room and finish whatever I was playing to get to the next save point, or which is nice. And I don't disturb her. We get to leave and go to be in the bed at the same time. It's an adorable little couple we are. So just a really great, fun system. Touchscreen, 2 really good cameras on the system. The back this is all actual mappable buttons on the back of the. Get out of here. Back of the.
No, continue. Go ahead.
Mappable buttons on the back of the controller. The game library for the actual Vita itself was incredible. You had Jack and Daxter collections, like Cooper collection, Ratchet and Clank collections. You got, like I said, Resistance. You have Killzone Mercenaries, which in my opinion was probably the best Killzone that's ever come out, and it was on the system. Uncharted, Golden Abyss. There's just, the lineup for this system is incredible. I can't tell you more how incredible I feel about this system, but it's the one I play the most. It's my portable system. It's the one I bring around more than any other system. And it's done something that no Nintendo system has done. Any portable system that has done. Steve, count the analog sticks on that.
There's 2.
What?
There's 2.
How many?
2, but the Game Boy.
Boom!
Look at this.
Boom!
This is another D-pad.
That is not.
It's a little.
That is
It's a little
sponge.
nipple of a D-pad.
No.
Of an analog stick. I mean.
To go back, because I'm not done. Adding the second analog stick on a portable system made it completely much more playable, much more better.
All right.
Much better experience.
Listen, I don't usually attack choices. Are you done?
One more thing.
Oh, Jesus.
For those who are thinking about getting one because there were some games on the PSP they liked playing, but they maybe didn't like the controls because the PSP only had one analog stick. If you buy a PSP game on your Vita, you can map out the controls and use the second analog stick. So all those first-person shooters that came out, like Medal of Honor, Rainbow Six Vegas, all those ones that came out on the PSP where you only had one analog stick, go ahead and map your second analog stick, man. And then it's a true, proper first-person shooter. 2 analog sticks. Let's see the 3DS, DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, Virtual Boy, any of them do a proper first-person FPS on a portable system.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, so I will say that the Vita, I'm going to give you props for one thing. The Vita's graphics are phenomenal.
Thank
When
you.
the Vita came out, I was shocked that they were able to stuff that fidelity into a portable.
Good word use.
But that is where the train stops. This is where you got to get the heck off the train.
I'm still on it, baby.
All the other things you said are ludicrous. Let's just talk about the fact that it's Sony, which is winning the console war for the PS4, or has won for the PS4.
Yeah.
It lost to the 360, but more or less finished in parity with the. Its later years did phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It won the PS2 era, you know. So they win,
Highest
they win,
selling
they
system
win.
to this day.
So right. So why then, if it's so great, did no one have any interest in buying a Vita? The PSP sold decent-ish, not compared to Nintendo's handhelds, but it sold
No,
okay.
yeah.
This thing was a turd. It was dead on arrival.
It did not sell well. But here is why, and I looked it up. The 3 things it had going against it was the original release had a terrible battery in it. Compared to a 3DS. So here's an example. This is one of the newer Vitas, actually, so the battery life for this one's actually decent. Compared to my 3DS, I charged this thing a week ago. I've been playing James Bond Bloodstone on it. I've been literally playing it for a week and a half, and I haven't had to charge it once. That thing will give me maybe 2 days of nonstop playing before I got to really charge it. So that was one thing that'd go against it.
Can I please be my turn?
And then the other problem was the price
Please!
point. It was an expensive system when it came out.
Okay.
It was almost console price when it came out versus a 3DS or a Game Boy.
Let me ask you a question. The Game Boy. Okay, you know what? We're just going to hit it off with the color off the bat. Because why not? Because it's in my hand. So it's
That's
just,
not my Game Boy
it's so good. The battery is so great. Let me ask you a question. How many batteries you see in that thing?
I see 2.
2 AA batteries.
That thing will last you 4 months.
This thing will live longer than the average house cat.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't die. So I don't want to hear a poop about the battery is so good. This has a good battery. The Game Boy original, the OG, the tank, had a good battery. Let me just hit you with some stone cold facts here, my friend. The year was 1989. It was a stifling hot August in North America when something dropped from the heavens. And not only did it drop from the heavens, but it dropped for an MSRP of $79.99 and came bundled with one of the best games of all time. That's right, boys and girls.
Tetris.
The Game Boy dropped, don't steal my thunder, with Tetris in tow, and it just set the world on fire. How much did your little Vita cost, and what game did it come with? Oh yeah, no game.
It was at release.
And how much did it cost? $300? $400?
It was $250 at release.
$250.
Yeah.
Okay. So for $80,
The other problem, to dig my grave a little deeper, was you need a Sony-only PS Vita memory card, and they're very pricey.
so
So it would take you to about over $300 to own one.
the year was 1989. The Game Boy dropped. Okay. set the world on fire. It came with Tetris. It introduced the world to the possibility of real hardcore gaming on the go. Up until that point, what were your options? You had the Game & Watch series, which was also from Nintendo, but it was those little crappy displays where the guys went bleep 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 bloop bloop. Like that was what you had. You had, I think Tiger Electronics had some of their stuff out by that point. It was all garbage. It was a train wreck.
Tiger Electronics.
A little 2.6-inch screen, 4 megahertz processor, 4 megahertz processor. Little monochromatic display. You had 2 shades of green and a little bit of black. That's what you had to work with. And tens of millions, 100 million people lost their minds over this because it was genre-defining, world-defining, life-changing. You could go on the subway, play Super Mario Brothers on the go, play Tetris on the go. It invented on-the-go multiplayer. There's a port on the side for a link cable. This is the 80s, now keep in mind, there was no such thing as Wi-Fi. There was no wireless communication. There was no Bluetooth. Sure, they had like 2.4 gigahertz RF, which you could actually do with the Game Boy Color. But that's neither here nor there. In 89, you had hardwired connections. So the Game Boy did it, and they did it right. You want to play Tetris against somebody? You jam a link cable in on one side, and if you're sitting in Mr. Rafferty's 10th grade history class with your best friend,
I know Mr. Rafferty,
across the aisle from you, you just strung the link cable across the aisle.
Because no teacher would notice that.
He didn't notice it. You plugged it in, and you played Tetris while you had your U.S. history book right here in your lap. And then you usually lost because your friend's a real butthole when it comes to that kind of stuff. But, you tried your best. So, it is what it is. So, it is... and here's the kicker. Ready? Every other system that came out in that era was quote-unquote better. The Game Gear, which I also had and loved, by the way.
Colored system.
It was a color and backlit. It took 6 batteries and lasted 20 minutes before you had to change them again.
I had that. I had the extension pack for it.
This was the size of a Game Boy. The Game Gear was this big, mostly to hold their 88 batteries inside of it, and it had a color screen that would look like poop. By the way, I'm saying poop a lot. I think I have to use the bathroom. I don't know why. I've said poop like 10 times in this show until, but. That was fine and all well and good, but this is what it's up against. It's up against systems that hardware-wise just trounced it, comically trounced it. In the year 2020 or 2013, all anybody cares about is how good the hardware is. Oh, the PlayStation 4 is so much better than the Xbox One because the hardware is far superior. It's 1.5 teraflops against the one's 1.3 teraflops. And that Wii U was like not even a full teraflop. Who cares? 4 gigahertz, 2 inches, the most fun you'll ever have in the 80s. And talk about staying power. The Vita lasted about 15 days before Sony gave up on it. The Game Boy...
2011 to 2019.
The Game Boy came out in 89. Its successor, if you can even call it that, because it's basically the same damn thing, came out in 1998. 9 years. My son is 9. That means my wife gave birth to him, and to today, I'm still playing on the same Game Boy. That's the time frame. 9 years before the successor came out, which is, again, basically the same darn thing. And that lasted another 3 years before the real successor came out. The Game Boy Advance. I'm done. Everything's fallen over. I probably just broke my Game Boy. Let's frickin' vote.
You know you didn't break that Game Boy. All right, Steve, I'll vote first. Well, the whole idea was favorite portable system. And with that being said, the Vita to this day, I'll recommend it to anybody. It's still my favorite handheld system because it's the one I had the most fun with. It's where I got my music, my movies, and all my favorite games. But when it comes to being fair, and for you guys, I have to pick the best handheld system. No doubt it's going to be the Game Boy. On the basis of it changed the market. People still try to follow that thing. And A Game Boy, this is true, look it up, survived a bomb and still runs in the Nintendo Museum. It's running.
If you go to Nintendo New York when it's open again, because, you know, pandemic, but hypothetically, if you're watching this in the past or in the future, when that's over with, in the past, it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Nintendo New York and still see a 30-year-old Game Boy still playing Tetris with bomb blast marks on it. He is correct.
So I would, of course, have to give it to the Game Boy. But with that being said, the Vita is still my personal favorite. But I will bow down and say you pick.
All right, my turn to vote. To nobody's surprise, the Game Boy is the best. Giddy up.
Giddy up.
I have conquered this episode of... What is this? Show and Tell. I almost said Game Night. Man, I had way too much caffeine today. I have conquered this episode of Show and Tell. You know, it's rare that I win. I do have a few wins under my belt. Just a few. But, man, they feel so good. And with this, it was just... The Vita? Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I gotta get my... What octave was I at before?
Vita?
The Vita? The Vita?
I still feel like a winner because I'm going home with these.
The
two
Vita? I'm completely lost my mind. All right, guys. Don't forget to check out guildhallforum.com. Get your vote in for what you think is the best or the most important Nintendo franchise. Check out the iCard for what you think is best, the Vita or the Game Boy / Game Boy Color. And check out whatever playlist we have up there, which I haven't decided what I'm putting up there during filming, but it's going to be something cool to watch. So check it out. This has been Show and Tell for the Adventures Guild. I'm sorry. I'm Steve. I was going to say I'm the winner. I'm Steve.
I'm still humble, Jesse.
And we'll catch you next time.